Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Today I am going to provide you the fifth part of We Live Here Now novel. I hope you will like it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press like to the video, and let's get started.
Chapter 40. 6 Emilium. Not even sure where I'm running to. I stumbled down the drive, my face burning despite the freezing mist that scalds my lungs as I gasp. When I glance back, the fog is so thick the house is barely even visible, and for all I know the front door is wide open, and whatever was coming down the stairs is about to reach out and grab me. My leg screams at me to stop, but I push onward, the white fire of panic fueling my adrenaline, and I wonder if I can get to Paul's house before whatever, or whoever it is, catches me. I hurry down the lane, not caring about cars, or even looking out for headlights. Little half moans of fear escaping me as I manage some shambles of a run as far away as I can get from Larkin Lodge. I barely see the figure coming the other way until I collide with him, and I let out a shriek of surprise, almost falling backward, my balance gone. I probably would have crumpled if he hadn't grabbed my arm and kept me upright. Whoa, there. You nearly gave me a heart attack. It's a thick Devonian accent, and as my panic slows and he comes into focus, I see a rough, but concerned wet face looking back at me. Sorry, I mutter, getting my breath back and taking him in. He's wearing a red fleece and hat and has a bag slung over his shoulder. A postman. I didn't see you. Can't see a thing in this. Worst mist this winter. You need to take care on the lanes. I left the van at the last turn. Otherwise I might have knocked you down. I apologize again, my heart slowing. I glance behind me but can see nothing. No monster. But who knows, my rebellious brain whispers. Maybe it's waiting for you farther back. You can't run forever. Were you coming down to check the post box? It takes a moment before my brain, still focused on what may or may not be chasing me through the fog, recognizes what he said. What post box? You're the new woman at the lodge, right? Yes, Emily Bennett. You've got a mailbox on the lane. Just 20 yards that way. I'm happy to come to the front door, of course, but your husband told me to put the post in there. Oh, of course, I say breezily, as if I already know this. I forgot. So much going on in a house move. Freddie never told me about the post box. And why would he put himself out when the postman would easily deliver it to the house? I look down at the keys in my hand. I guess it's one of these keys to open it. My heart's thumping hard again, but this time with a very real fear. A truth in my gut that Freddie's hiding something from me, and I'm starting to think I might know what it is. That small one looks like it. Do you want me to walk you back? It's right against the wall, just up there. Or are you going to carry on with your run? No, I say with a smile. No, you're right. It's probably not safe in this weather. I'll keep putting it in the box then, he asks. Like your husband said. Yes, thank you. Yes, I mutter, already walking back the way I came. That's great. I stand at the open post box for a long time, staring down at the collection of letters there. I'm aware of the caw of a raven overhead, and then the answering cry of another. And while the breath is knocked out of me from what I'm seeing, a small part of my brain wonders if the raven I released from the house has found a new love. Maybe. I need to find a new love. My heart is heavy as I turn and head back to the only place I have to go. Back home to Larkin Lodge. There are lights on the lights. I'm sure I didn't turn on end. Now I can see it through the mist from the lane, guiding me back. Oh, Freddie, I think. Once I'm through the front door to find the smell vanished, the house warm, and no awful footsteps sending me running from the house. Oh, Freddie, what have you done? It's only later, when my mug of tea is cold, and I'm staring at the pieces of paper around me, all the evidence I need, that I realize that if the house hadn't terrified me so much that I ran out into the lane to collide with the postman, then I'd never know about the postbox and all this. Maybe the house wanted me to know. I curl up, hugging a cushion on the sofa, holding it protectively against my stomach. Maybe it was protecting me. There's no affirmation from the lodge around me. The other alternative presents itself again, that maybe it's all in my head, and this time it makes more sense. Maybe Freddy mentioned the postbox to me ages ago, and I forgot. Maybe my subconscious drove me out of the house to find my answers. Right now, I don't even care how I found out. I lie there, staring at the walls, waiting for Freddy to come home. Chapter 47. Millie. I wait for him in the sitting room, choosing the wingback chair in the corner. That's always been more for decoration than use. All I can think is, how could you, Freddy? How could you? I haven't lit the fire, and with only one lamp on, I'm sitting in the shadows, barely visible, as if I'm a ghost myself. I can hear my heartbeat, the tick of the clock. I don't look at the walls. I don't want to see the gray lines on the blue flock wallpaper pulsing like veins. I don't want to see anything ripple in the corner of my eye. When I've dealt with this, I will damn well go up to the 3rd floor and put the Find It to rest once and for all. I can't think about the ethereal right now. The physical world, and my husband's what's screwing me over. Emily. The noise of the front door and a gust of cold air heralds Freddy's arrival, and my stomach instantly tightens with nerves. I've never been good with confrontation. The last time we had any kind of major row was nearly 20 years ago, and it was the same row we're about to have again. The same subject matter, the same lies, the same weakness. Sorry I'm late. He appears in the doorway, and my mouth dries. He looks so normal, as if he hasn't been lying to me since I woke up in that hospital, as if everything is fine. Traffic was shit. He frowns, spotting me in the corner. His eyes narrow, the first hint that he's realizing something is wrong. Don't you want the lights on? He doesn't wait for an answer before flicking the switch, flooding the room with brightness. What's this? He comes forward, staring not at me, but at the coffee table and a few pieces of paper laid out on it. You promised never again, I say eventually, as he picks up the final demand and the overdue credit card payment letters that I found in the postbox. After uni. After you nearly destroyed us. And this is worse than that time, isn't it? One of those credit cards is in my name, Freddy. The heat of my anger and disappointment and hurt burns into my face, and tears fill my eyes, threatening to spill. I knew you were keeping something from me. When I walked in on you in the bathroom when the others were here. You were on a gambling site, weren't you? He slumps into the sofa while I sit in the chair, my back ramrod straight. The stronger one, despite everything I've been through. Oh God, I'm so sorry. He lowers his head into his hands. I'm so sorry. How bad is it? My voice is sharp. I know it's bad. The final demands show that it's bad. But still, I've been clinging to some joke of a hope that we're not completely ruined. I wanted to get the money back so you'd never know. But it just got worse. How bad, Freddy? I repeat, my stomach churning so much it sends bile burning up my throat. He shrugs, not wanting to answer. Oh God, can it be worse this time? The last time he gambled away his entire inheritance from his parents and was working his way through our savings when he finally confessed. I'd told him ever since we'd been together that I hated his love of gambling, but he'd always told me it was just a casual thing. Like men who go out and get pissed once a month, or whatever, but he did it with cards or racing, until his parents died. Then I realized the hobby went way deeper and was an addiction, an everyday thing, a secret thing. I told you I'd leave you if you ever did this again. I know, and I'm so ashamed. He looks up at me, hopeless and forlorn. It's a disease, Emily. You know that. That's what you're going with. That's supposed to make it all okay? I want to punch him in the face. Yes, it's a disease. But there are doctors for it. You go back to Gamblers Anonymous. You talk to someone. You don't gamble away all our money. I thought you were going to die. His eyes fill with tears. So that's his excuse. Poor, hapless Freddy. I used to think he was sweet, but actually he's just weak. More fool me, everyone thought. You were going to die. It broke me. I couldn't imagine life without you. He sniffs, loud and snotty. At first it was just once, and then I didn't do it for ages. I hated myself for it. Then when you got sepsis and were in the coma, well, it all went to shit. It was worse, way worse than before. How could it be worse than before? I feel sick. Just tell me, Freddy. It wasn't just the apps. He takes a deep, shaky breath. Before the holiday, the guys from work, they'd been to some late-night unlicensed drinking den after a dinner. I hadn't gone with them, because I hate that drinks and strip club shit they do. You know that. His words are coming out fast, as if now that he's been caught, it's a splurge of a confession. He wipes his nose with the back of his hand as he continues. But the next day they said they'd gone to some poker night thing in a den in Denman Street, and obviously I was doubly glad I hadn't been, and honest to God, Emily, I didn't think about it again. Not for a long time, but then you did. I take a sip from the wine beside me, but it tastes sour. How could he do this to us? To me. Suddenly, I feel better about my own guilty secret. At least I only did it once and it didn't wipe out our savings. Not until after your accident. I was trying to hold it together, working even though you were getting worse and worse, and I could see in the doctors' faces that nothing was positive. It was like 1 minute there was you and me, and then the next you're nearly dead, and the doctors are telling me you'd been pregnant, and everything I'd wanted had been so close to reality, but had been snatched away. Like a here's what. You could have one moment. Everyone thought you were going to die. I thought you were going to die. One day after work I couldn't face going home, so I went out on my own and got drunk. I don't know how I found the place, to be honest. The addict part of my brain must have taken me close to the street, and then, well, there I was. Denman Street. He looks at me and pauses, as if this is enough explanation, but it isn't nearly enough. And that was it. You were straight back down the bookies, and in the apps. No, worse than that. It was like I'd pushed a self-destruct button. I was going to the card game most nights. Started off small, but every time your situation got worse, I would gamble harder, bigger. I ended up owing money, a lot of money too. Some people, not the sort of people you ever want to owe money to. Jesus, Freddy. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. For me, the coma was an empty sleep that lasted both a second and an eternity. But all this was happening while I was in the void. How much did you owe them? A lakh? He's shrinking into the sofa, becoming smaller in front of me. I'd thought he was glued to my bedside, holding my hand for weeks. But no, he was off getting himself in a huge mess. Did he think of me at all, or was he totally preoccupied with how to save his own skin? Oh God. Suddenly it dawns on me. Everything falls into place, the enormity of his lies. When you said we should sell the flat to move here, that wasn't about me at all, was it? You used the profits from the flat to pay off your debts to these gangsters, didn't you? He says nothing for a long moment. I'm so sorry, Emily. It was the only way. I was going to meetings by then. I hadn't gone to any games. Not since they threatened me, but I was on the apps. I convinced myself I could win enough to then have the one big win, to get everything back before you realized there had been anything wrong. Asterisk, are you fucking insane? The swear word comes out of me like a bullet, and it stuns Freddy into silence. I don't swear much, it's never been my thing, but my rage formed it like a weapon in my mouth. When has that ever worked for anyone? How much of a cliché are you? Like a character from some shit British crime straight-to-DVD film. I reach forward and grab some of the final demands, holding them up in his face. Clearly your plan didn't work. You've got thousands of pounds of credit card debt here, according to some of these letters. All from after the move. Is there any money left? Anything? I sit back in my chair, the truth of it finally hitting home. We're broke. We've got nothing. If there was any money, he'd have paid off the cards. Only whatever you have. Why did you let me get the people around about the garden? I'm beyond anger and into exasperation. That's 25,000 pounds of gardening work I've just said yes to. I thought hoped I. Just his mouth opens and closes like a drowning fish. There's nothing he can say. He hoped it would just go away, that some miracle would come along. I thought you were dying, he says again, as if this explains everything. All his weakness. After that last time, I never thought I'd ever gamble again. I thought I was past it. I thought 1 or 2 card games wouldn't matter. It was me who was in the hospital, Freddie. It was me who nearly died. And now that somehow makes it my fault that you couldn't stop yourself from gambling away all our equity. I stare at him as he cries. You know, I keep thinking about what Russell said that Christmas night about how we're never with the people we fell in love with. I thought you were so sweet and kind when we met. It was refreshing that you weren't trying to be alpha all the time. But now I see that was just hiding how weak you are at heart. It's why you wanted a traditional marriage with a wife at home with the children, so you'd always have someone to need you. But it's why you've never been promoted too far. Why do you think I wanted my promotion so badly, Freddie? Because one of us had to succeed. It wasn't just for me. I wanted it for us. I say it so convincingly, I almost believe it. And maybe it's in part true, but I wanted it mainly for me. That doesn't change his weakness, though. You just had to be strong this once for me. But you weren't, and then you lied. Acted like everything was normal. If you couldn't be strong, you needed to be honest. And you weren't that either. I was so glad you were going to be okay. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't. I was so afraid you'd leave me, or the shock would make you sick again. I love you so much. I was so scared. I didn't want to lose us, Emily. I can't help but half laugh, shocked and heartbroken at everything I've heard. Us, I finally say, oh, Freddie. I'm not sure there can be an us after this. Chapter 48. Freddie, we talk until late. A second bottle of wine opened as I beg forgiveness, and we both cry. I hold on to her tightly when she lets me, as if I'm drowning and she's keeping me afloat, and she veers between anger and heartache, but I can tell she's starting to relent. There's nothing Emily likes better than having the moral higher ground, and she's not going to let that go quickly. She can talk about how she misread me when we met, but that goes both ways. I thought she was the most forgiving person I'd ever known, but she's not. She stores it all up like weapons while acting like Mother Teresa. She'd lose her shit completely if she knew that I'd been gambling a couple of weeks before the holiday. That in fact, it started again that first night out from work. Do we still love each other? Are we a habit? Is it a tired mixture of both? She's not the only one who wonders, and she still hasn't told me why she was so weird before her accident. Maybe I'm not the only one who had a secret. She hasn't mentioned divorce yet. Our marriage still has a chance. There can still be an us. When we finally head up to bed, sometime around 2, I go to the spare bedroom. She doesn't tell me to come back, but instead says, maybe it's for the best. Just until I get my head around all this. Her eyes slip away from me like she's a coy victim, and when I feel that bloody draft coiling once again around my ankles as we say goodnight, I feel the first hint of annoyance at her. I close the spare bedroom door, shivering, and stand by the radiator for a few moments. It's still hot. The thermostat only turned down moments before, but the warmth is swallowed up by the icy breeze cutting through the gaps in the windows and the old floorboards. The bed creaks, complaining about having company, and under the thin duvet, I suddenly feel like a child again, sleeping over at my grandmother's house, in the cold loft room that she converted for her grandchildren but never bothered to make feel lived in, a room that was happy being left to itself. I have that same feeling here, where the shadows are different from those I'm used to, and the heavy blue walls could be night itself crowding round me. It's cold as night in here too, the draft wheedling through the mattress under me, and I pull the duvet tighter. I want to go and turn the heating back on, but I daren't, with Emily now, knowing how much debt we have, as if a few quid keeping the house warm is going to make any difference. Downstairs, I was distraught at the thought of her leaving me, at the possible end of our marriage, consumed by how much I need her. But now that I'm up here and alone, I'm getting more and more irritated at being painted as such a terrible human being. There were so many. How could you lie to me like that, and you should have been honest with me, as if she'd never done anything wrong in her life. She knows gambling is an addiction, a disease. She knows it isn't easy to stop. Why couldn't? She'll see that I only kept going because I was afraid of losing her. It was love. I thought she was dying, and I began self-destructing. I didn't lie to her anyway. I just didn't tell the truth. I was protecting her. She doesn't know how hard it was for me during those months. She wasn't even awake. But still, I'm the big disappointment. The curtain flutters, like the rustle of a panicking bird's wings, sending shadows and shards of moonlight in a kaleidoscope pattern across the room. More evidence of the breeze, Emily insists, doesn't exist, and I sink deeper beneath the covers. It's almost a joy to have a whole bed to myself again. It took ages to get used to sleeping alone while she was in hospital, but then, quietly and guiltily, I began to love it. It's been odd having to share the space again. That's what Emily doesn't get. Her accident and coma have been hard. For me too. I've been the one on the outside. I'm drifting into an emotionally exhausted and wine-drowned sleep when a creaking tread on floorboards drags me out of my doze. I listen blearily. The creak comes again, and then again. Footsteps. Is that the stairs? I have a moment of panic that maybe the people I still owe money to, the sort who don't send polite letters in the post, and who I've told Emily I'm of when in fact there's 10 grand outstanding, have come down to Devon to break my kneecaps, but realize it must be Emily. What is she doing up at this time? I half sit up and frown. Has she been upstairs? It definitely sounds like she's coming down from upstairs. The steps are even and surprisingly heavy. I've gotten used to Emily's feet being out of time as she limps, dragging her bad leg carefully behind her. But this doesn't sound like that. There's a pause, and then the footsteps come closer. Too heavy for Emily, I think, as my heart starts to race. Could it be a burglar? The space between treads feels almost too long as they get louder and closer. Unnatural. The curtains tremble once more, and I peer through the shards of moonlight to stare at the closed door. The footsteps are getting closer. It has to be Emily. It has to. No burglar would make so much noise, surely. Finally, the feet come to a stop outside my room, and the last step is so impossibly heavy I'm sure it makes the bed tremble. I wait. My breath held, the air around me cold from the draft, but my skin burning with an irrational fear. But there's only silence. The pause goes on for so long that I'm starting to question whether I heard anything at all, or if it was just a hangover dream. When suddenly the round handle starts to turn, I stare in horror as it twists slowly one way, and then back again, before falling still. The door doesn't open. No one comes in. But I can feel in every fiber of my being that there is a presence on the other side, watching me through the wood. I let out a small moan, and the noise adds to my fear as my mouth dries and my palms clench. I'm sure I'm going to have a heart attack. This burst of terror, the final straw after months of stress and debt. I don't know how long I sit there staring at the door, but eventually I get pins and needles, and I prop the pillow so that I can lie down and still watch it. But the handle doesn't turn again, and there are no more footsteps. Eventually, my eyes drift shut, and I'm half convinced after so much silence that it was all my imagination. Or Emily. It must have been Emily. Maybe she was going to come in, to make up properly, get us back to us. I remember how strange the footsteps sounded. Maybe she won't even remember she was up. Maybe she's going mad. All those things she's imagining. What she did with those books. I sink deeper into sleep as cool air settles on my face. My last thought is a gossamer thread of sticky webbing in my subconscious. Maybe it wouldn't be such a bad thing if she did go mad. It might help me maybe. In fact, I'd quite like it. Chapter 49. Emily. The hubbub downstairs fades as I grip the banister and climb the steep flight of stairs to the 3rd floor. Breathing shallow in case the awful smell comes back, but there's nothing other than warm dust. I've waited until the party's fully started and the guests are mingling. Freddy in full host mode before going up to finally finish my search of the house. There is safety in numbers, and Kat is still getting ready in their room on the middle floor. So it's now or never. If I don't find anything, then I can put this madness out of my head and focus on the very real predicament Freddy and I are in and what I'm going to do about it. The landing is quiet, and despite my heart beating faster than normal, I'm pleased. I'm not panicking or filled with dread. I'm a grown-up. I can do this. The double bedroom just has a bed in it, and ISO, and Mark's overnight stuff, and no built-in cupboards. But I do a circuit of it, scanning the walls and floor, but there are no spaces where something could be hidden. The same goes for the bathroom, and after checking the storage cupboards, I'm left with only the primary suite to check. My palm sweats slightly as I grip the handle. But I take a deep breath and push the door open. I brace myself, expecting the awful onslaught of horrific dread I felt last time. But there's nothing, just quiet, no strangeness at all. And when I flick on the light switch, it's just a large, empty, beautiful room, the glorious feature. Window at the other end. It is innocuous, normal. I look down at the floorboards, and there's no sign of the scratching I'd been so sure I heard. I'd still happily turn and rush down the stairs, but I've come this far, so I wedge the door open and hesitantly go farther inside. I'm half expecting the door to suddenly slam shut and trap me in here forever, so I hurry across to the bathroom and quickly search it before going to the dressing area on the other side. The longer I'm up here, far away from everyone else, the tenser I get. The sudden normality is unsettling me, as if it's a mirage. The quicker I move, searching the drawers and cupboard spaces, the closer my panic comes to the surface. And then I hear it. The creak of floorboards in the bedroom, footsteps coming closer. Eyes wide, I press myself back against the cupboard, sure that I'm going to have a heart attack. You will die. Hear my breath coming in gasps, and then I hear Emily. Relief floods through me, and I let out a mildly hysterical half laugh. Joe, it's Joe, that's all. I come out of the walk-in closet, my face red. You scared the shit out of me. I wondered where you were. He's casually dressed in jeans and a shirt, but, as ever, he looks great. There's something of Jeremy Irons in his heyday about him. You can't hide at your own party. What are you doing up here? Just taking a moment. I don't have any valid reason, and that's the best I can think of. You know how it is. Shame it's so dark. He's at the window. Strange being back here after so long. I'd forgotten how good the view is from up here. Quite stunning. Isolating, but stunning. Don't you think? I haven't seen it. The stairs are tricky with my leg. Right now, all I can see is mist and darkness. I'll come back up in daylight. He leans on the windowsill and turns his attention to me. You don't have to answer and can tell me to mind my own business. But is everything all right with you and Freddy? Why do you ask? Our closest friends haven't noticed that maybe we're having problems. So I'm surprised Joe's picked up on it. You're up here when the party's downstairs, for one thing. Oh, that. I blush slightly. If you must. No, I was dispelling the last of my ghosts. This is where I heard the strange noises coming from, the horrible smell. I wanted to come up and check it out for myself, and I figured when there was a house full of people was the best time. Ghost was in here. He looks around the room, thoughtful, alert, as if maybe he does believe in the supernatural a little after all. I can't sense anything. Me either. Now, it's fine. Obviously it was just my mind playing tricks on me. Maybe we should get back downstairs, just in case. Don't want to invade their space. I go first, and he pushes the doorstop away, turning the light out and shutting the room up again. And after he looks back at the primary suite door for a moment, I can feel him watching as I hobble slowly and carefully back down the stairs. I really would like to paint you, Emily. Such beauty in the face of adversity. Happier now that I'm on the middle landing. I laugh. I don't think Freddie would be too keen. Your art is amazing, but it's very intimate. Remembering how shocked Freddie was when faced with the first canvas in the cottage, I have a pang of affection for him, despite all the shit we're in. I'd paint you in a silk dressing gown, your legs stretched out, the rest of you relaxed, in a chair, all the curves, and none of the nudity. How about that? The sexuality you'll have to allow me, although you're perfectly safe. I won't try to sleep with you. I don't have sex with all my models, whatever the gossips say. Of course, if you wanted to, I wouldn't stop you either. Everything about Joe should be creepy, but instead, he makes my heart beat faster. The upstairs room totally forgotten. He makes me feel like a woman, a living, breathing woman who is raw and real and perfect for her flaws, rather than despite them. But come on, we should get back to the party. I can feel the pool table calling me. He matches my pace on the way back to the melee below, and I turn off the upstairs lights before pausing to say hello to Mrs. Tucker, and Joe disappears down the corridor. I like his calmness. It's infectious. I feel calmer for having finished my search. I didn't find anything. There was nothing to find. The party seems to be going well. In the study, Mark is giving financial advice to Ron Cave and his wife, Elsa, the farming family who own most of the nearby land on one side of us, while Alex and Dom, a younger couple who are very involved in the parish activities, listen wide-eyed. I know how they feel. When Mark starts talking about his work to me, he might as well be speaking Japanese. In the sitting room, Russell is cross-legged on the floor in the corner, laughing with the Watkinses on the sofa, and it's good to see them all chatting so animatedly. Turns out Marilee's sister is head teacher at the local secondary school, and Marilee used to teach part-time at Exeter College, so they're sharing amusing horror stories of rabid teenagers and school politics. Over by the fire, Freddie, my poor, woeful Freddie, is with the vicar and Kat. And I think despite having religion in common with the vicar, Kat is a bit bored because she keeps looking to the door, maybe wondering where Isos wandered off to. She's not making any move to come and talk to me, but I don't mind. It's hard pretending everything is fine, and I think Kat is the most likely to see through my veneer. Iso never looks beneath the surface of people. Really, she's very busy being Iso, but Kat has always been more interested in others. It's the quality that makes her such a good teacher. When she asks how are you, she's not looking for a cursory answer, and if she gets one, she'll dig deeper. Looking at Freddie, I'm not sure how I feel. I'm shell-shocked. All our equity gone. We're running on empty, and he still has some debts to clear. I love him, I'm sure I do, but I wish I could respect him more. He's always been prone to weakness under pressure. He's always been prone to weakness, full stop. It's the part of him I've always ignored, the part of him that makes him agree with Mark or Russell, because he'd rather not say what he actually thinks, and I let him call it diplomacy, rather than an inability to stand his ground. The part of him that lied to me rather than tell me what's really been going on. The part of him that blames my accident for his weakness. I feel so conflicted. How can you love someone but not like them very much all at once? The thought makes me feel bad because it's not as if I don't have my own secrets and shame. He's been truly apologetic and stayed out of my way yesterday, popping into the Exeter office to give me some thinking time. If everything I'm experiencing here is coming from my post-sepsis syndrome, then I'm amazed the house didn't fall down around my ears. It stayed standing and silent, and most of the time I just stared out the window, watching two ravens whirling around in the sky over the moors. I like to think it was my Raven. I like to think he's found a new love. Maybe I should find a new love. Freddy looks over at me and smiles, all hangdog and adorable. Someone like him, but who isn't so weak. Maybe I should leave him. There was a part of me that was thinking that before the holiday. The part of me that had cheated and wanted the promotion and wasn't sure I wanted to be a stay-at-home mum to a baby I could only be sure was mine, not Freddy's. I touch my stomach. A new hope may be growing there, and pick up my glass, heading toward the kitchen, where I tip out my wine while no one's looking and get a glass of tonic water and add a slice of lemon. I can't make any decision about Freddy yet. Not until I know. My period was due yesterday, but so far, there's no sign. A day late doesn't mean anything in and of itself, but I can't shake this tiny feeling, a small certainty that something's changed inside me. I'm becoming two again, and this child would definitely be part Freddy too. Could I manage as a single mom? Would I want to? And could I do that to Freddy? Keep him from being a proper dad? It's what he's wanted all his adult life. It could be the making of him, of us. I head back toward the sitting room, but as I pass by I notice that the upstairs hallway light is on again. There's someone on the middle landing, their shadow casting long down the wooden stairs. Hello? I take a couple of steps up, then pause. It's Sally, her back to me, facing the landing window. She's standing so perfectly still that I wonder for a moment if she's on the cusp of some kind of medical event. Sally. I go up one more step. Are you okay? She doesn't answer. I keep climbing, my good right leg doing all the work, and even with the sound of my approach, she doesn't look my way. Sally, I repeat as I reach her, and finally she startles and turns to me, eyes wide and confused, one hand fluttering up to her throat. God. I was lost in my own world. Sorry. I think I'm getting another migraine. She looks back to the window, even though there's nothing but darkness and mist outside. She does look pale though. I've got loads of painkillers downstairs, I say. A smorgasbord of them, in fact. Ah, great. She smiles, that vague expression fading, and sorry. Maybe it's a hangover from the last one. They can be like that. I nod at her to take the stairs first, and as I'm going to follow, I see her glance backward. An odd look, wary, a look she doesn't want me to see. I glance to where she was looking, the landing floor. As I follow her down, I know exactly the spot. It's where the nail had been sticking out. Chapter 50. Emily, Sally. Marilee Watkins comes in to refill her wine glass, her flushed face, red jumper, and burgundy wine clashing, and yet making her a portrait of earthy joyous. I'm getting Sally some painkillers and a glass of water. You're looking well. I wish I felt it. Awful headache. Laughter comes from the hallway, followed by Joe and Iso tumbling into the kitchen. Iso, leaning her head against his arm, before they hive each other. We beat Freddy and the vicar 3 times. Shots for shots, she says, breathless. They have had to drink a lot. We didn't beat them, we annihilated them. Joe grins at Iso. You don't look like a pool shark, but you have the moves. All that wasted time at university had to pay off somehow, right, Em? I guess so. Iso's glowing, her eyes sparkling, in a much better mood than when she arrived. And I'm sure her flush is as much about Joe as it is from wine. And when he winks at her, I have a sudden, tiny twinge of surprising envy. I'm not feeling so great. Sally puts the glass on the side. I think I'm going to head home. Do you mind? Sure, you can get a lift back from someone. Hey. Joe's immediately all concern as he comes closer and studies her face. You do look pale. Come on, I'll get our coats. You stay and have some fun. No arguments. He kisses her forehead. I'm taking you home. He looks at me. It's been great, Emily. Thanks for having us. I help them with their coats and see them to the front door, wondering if Sally will glance upward as we go past the stairs, but she doesn't, instead leaning into her husband, as if she's suddenly exhausted. There's something so touching about it. They may have an unusual relationship, but the love between them is clear. I stay in the doorway to wave them off, and I'm sure I hear her mutter something about how strange she feels, or how strange it was to be in the house, or maybe something akin to both. They're getting in the car when Marilee joins me, holding out a mug. "I saw you weren't drinking," she says. "Thought you might like a cuppa. That's so kind. Thank you." She lights a cigarette, and I hug the warm mug, and we watch as Sally and Joe drive away. Me and her were best friends when we were young, for a bit. Hard to believe, looking at us now. And it's hard to believe that those two are still together, with the way she was at the start. "I've heard of mellowing with age," Marilee says, exhaling smoke and misty breath. "But she'd have had your pretty friend's eyes out just for looking at Joe back then." "Sally, I'm surprised. But she's so chill about the girls he paints. She might be now. She pretended to be, sure. She wanted to be. And maybe at first, when he was adoring her, she was cool. But she was too naturally insecure. And it's not like he was promising monogamy. Love, maybe. I think he did and does emotionally, faithfully love her. But sex, you've seen him. That's like breathing to men like Joe. Sally couldn't deal with it. God, she would lose her shit. Get jealous of every woman he spoke to. That bad? I ask. After finding her upstairs, I want to know everything there is to know about Sally. She even got jealous of me once. She snorts a laugh. Mad as a hatter. I could never talk her down. Got fed up of trying. It got to the point where women stopped talking to him and he stopped talking to them, around her at any rate. And then there was that lovely Georgina Usher. She leans against the wall of the house and sniffs in the cold. Sally drove her out of town completely. She just up and vanished one night. She was an artist, taught in the school part-time. Very different from Sally. Sally back then anyway. Very 60s. Wild. Free. Dark eyes. Dark hair. It's freezing outside, but I don't care. Absorbed in this glimpse into the past. Was she close with Joe? This George had been to a couple of the art classes Joe ran here at Larkin Lodge, but as far as I know, nothing more. But that was enough for Sally. She was convinced they were doing something, or that Georgina was trying to seduce Joe. I know she threatened her at the school, and then she told whoever would listen that Georgina slept with married men and danced naked at a bar in town on weekends. Ridiculous accusations. But the intent was to cause just enough gossip to get her sacked. When none of that worked, to get rid of her, Sally saw her in the liquor store in the village buying beer and was convinced it was for Joe, for some clandestine meeting. I'm pretty sure Sally had taken to following her by then. Our friendship was pretty much over because it was all she talked about, and Pete and me were getting serious. I remember Sally looked terrible by that point, thinner than ever. Not sleeping. It was eating her up. What happened? I hear a sound overhead. Birds in the eaves. Maybe as impatient as me to hear the rest of the story. Asterisk, she walked straight into the shop. Took the beer bottles out of Georgina's hands. Put them back on the shelf. And said very calmly and coolly in front of Peter Lamb, the shopkeeper, that if Georgina didn't leave Joe alone, she'd slit her throat. Wow. I stare at Marilee. That's quite something. Yes, it is. But that was enough for Georgina. No one saw her again. She dropped in to say goodbye to Joanne. Probably tell him to get rid of his crazy girlfriend, Dan. That was that. Did she move to Taunton to be closer to the school? Oh, they never saw her again either. She stubs her cigarette out on the gravel and pockets the butt. Vanished in the night. I thought that fiasco would be the end of Sally and Joe because who'd stay with her after that. And I wasn't the only one who thought it would be the best thing for both of them. I think Sally's mom was ready to pack her off to her aunt over in New Zealand to start afresh. She was so worried about her. But we were all wrong. Within 2 weeks they were engaged. And maybe he got her some professional help because she stopped with all that jealousy stuff, as far as I could tell. Never showed it again, that's for sure. I guess they figured their shit out. But I never wanted to be friends with her again. Leopards and spots. She looks at me, wry. She'll always be crazy Sally Fremantle to me. She turns to go inside, but I don't follow her. My head is a whir as I watch the mist spilling over the wall, a tide creeping in to drown the house in the night. Vanished in the night. Last seen in this house. Did Sally kill her? Did she kill her in this house? Don't do it, I tell myself. Don't go back down that path. The room upstairs is fine. There is no ghost. You've got bigger problems. And I almost do it. I almost put it right out of my head. But then a thought strikes me, and it makes me catch my breath. Asterisk Sally Fremantle. That's what Merrily called her, not Sally Carter. She used Sally's maiden name, Freem. The writing in the mirror's steam. It wasn't Free-me at all. It was Fremantle. That's what the haunting was trying to spell on the bathroom mirror. The name of their killer? Chapter 51. Emily, my head is in a whirl. Could Sally really have murdered her rival, right here in this house? Maybe that's what calmed her down. Maybe the trauma of what she'd done changed her. And what about Joe? Did he help her cover it up? Move the body? The party has thinned right out. Only Paul, the vicar, and our friends left, and we're all in the pool room. Paul's in close conversation with Freddie, who's now got a scarf around his neck. There's a fire blazing, so I don't know how. He can be cold, when Kat and Iso are both in thin tops, and are fine. This house, this strange house. You all right, Emily? Paul's broken away from Freddie, and come to join me on the small sofa. You're lost in thought. Something serious by the looks of it. Not that serious. Not really. I play it down. But I'm also curious to see what the vicar knows about this missing woman. He's lived here long enough to remember it. Surely. It was something Merrily was telling me about. A woman who went missing years ago. Last seen coming to this house. Back when Joe and Sally lived here. Just was weird. I don't remember anything about a missing woman. Are you thinking about your haunting? He leans in closer. Who was the woman? A young artist called Georgina Usher. I see. He looks down at his feet. And you think she's haunting the lodge? Maybe she had an accident here. Maybe it's her vibrations I'm feeling. There's a long pause, and then he talks, slowly and carefully. If there'd been an accident, then the police or an ambulance would have come. There's something in his tone, as if he's testing me. I sit up straighter and look at him. Maybe he's had his suspicions over the years. Maybe I'm the first person to say something out loud, only if the people living here reported it. I don't use the word murder, and I don't lay any accusations at anyone's door, even if it's all there in the subtext. The vicar looks at me for a long moment, and I know he's picked up on exactly what I mean. I'm so sure of it. I almost don't hear what he says next. Emily. He places a gentle hand on my arm. Georgina Usher isn't dead. I stare at him. What do you mean? Merrily said. She vanished. Never seen again. Never seen back here again. He pulls his phone out and goes to Google. She's a famous artist now. She lives in America. I go into that school she used to work at when the kids are getting ready for confirmation. Even though she quit without notice, they've named their art department after her, and they have prints of her work everywhere. He passes me his phone. Look. I stare at the dark-haired woman and the gallery wall of paintings behind her, and then scan the text. I'm not really reading, my brain on fire and my face flushing. Everything he's saying is true. This is her. There can't be, to Georgina, Ushers with so much similarity in their past, and of the right age. I've made such a fool of myself. Did Merrily say she'd died? Paul asks gently. I know that tone of voice. Careful, worried, double quotes. No, I just presumed. Maybe you should let this idea of a ghost go. He looks at me like I'm a child who's done something stupid. It's just an old house, Emily. Old houses make noises. Their pipes and drains can smell. It's easy to get lost in your imagination about those things. And being out here on the moors probably doesn't help. But no one died in this house. There isn't a ghost. I know that. My voice is quiet. I'm so sorry. I just got carried away for a moment. Please, forget I said anything. I hurry out of the room, the heat stifling, and combined with my embarrassment, my chest is tight and I find it hard to breathe. I go upstairs to the bathroom and lock the door, sitting on the side of the bath and taking deep breaths. He must think I'm crazy. God, what an idiot. How can I face any of them again? When I come downstairs, Paul is saying his goodbyes and he gives me a hug as if nothing has happened. But I feel a careful resistance there and I don't blame him. As Kat pulls me away to put some music on, I want the house to swallow me whole. Chapter 52. Emily. I smile and laugh and watch as Iso and Kat dance. Iso still necking wine, her dancing becoming dangerously close to falling, while feeling completely lost in a bubble of my own. Time drags on, and even though I want to go and hide under the duvet and block everything out, I force myself to stay up for another hour before sneaking upstairs, feeling awful. I'm hoping for some time to myself, but within minutes, Freddie is dropping his clothes on the floor and stumbling into bed with me. The wreckage of the party waiting until morning. I'm so sorry about everything, Em, he mumbles, pulling me close. I don't have the energy to push him away, or remind him that he'd be in the spare room if we weren't hiding our problems from our friends. I really am, he continues. I hate myself for it. I'm sorry I lied. I'll be better. I'll sort it out. I promise. I love you. I do. I really do. I don't push him away, needing whatever comfort I can take, as he slides into a heavy sleep. His weight uncomfortably draped over me. I want to cry. Everything's crumbling around me. How has my life come to this? Surrounded by debt from my weak husband and losing my mind, I lie there, listening as the others traipse to the bathroom, and then Mark's annoyed mutterings as he virtually carries Iso up to the 3rd floor, and finally the house falls quiet. I stare into the dark as Freddie grunts and snores and moves about in his sleep, and by 3 a.m. I give up trying to get any rest of my own and quietly get my notebook from the side table drawer and creep out to the bathroom with the book balanced on my knee. My writing's a spidery scrawl as I purge my anxiety and upset onto the page. Under the light of my phone's flashlight, this is less a record of ghostly hauntings and more a reflection of my own mental instability. Asterisk, there is nothing happening in the house. It's all in my mind. Hallucinations. Sally hasn't done anything at all. What is wrong with me? I'm fixated on a ghost that all evidence proves doesn't exist. I've made myself look really stupid and mentally unstable in front of the vicar. I should call Dr. Canning. I know I should, but I can't face going back into the hospital. I just can't. I have to learn to ignore all this until it stops. I can't cope with it on top of everything going on in the real world. God, I write and underline it. Maybe it would have been better if I'd just died. It's melodramatic, and I don't mean it. I'm in no rush to die again. All that nothingness terrifies me. The non-existence of it all. The toilet seat lid is cold and uncomfortable, and I'm calmer after getting my shame down on the page. Not happier, but at least calmer. There's nothing I can do about it except try to talk to Paul next week. He'll understand. I'm sure of it. Everyone can be prone to flights of fancy, and given my extenuating circumstances and his Christian nature, we'll be laughing about it all by next weekend. It's not like I explicitly accused anyone of anything, and it's basically his job to forgive me. I'm suddenly tired, hopefully now able to get to sleep, and turn off the phone light. Before I reach for the bathroom handle to unlock it, it quietly clicks by itself and opens a few inches. I freeze, staring at it, the cold draft around my ankles only part of the chill I'm suddenly feeling. I take a deep breath. I couldn't have locked it properly, and the draft has pushed it open. That's all. I reach forward to pull it open some more so I can leave, but the door, only a few inches open, refuses to budge. I yank harder, but nothing gives an invisible force, holding it solidly unmoving, from the other side. I stand back, confused. Is it me again? My stupid, mad post-sepsis brain? Am I imagining I can't open it? I stare, not sure quite what to do, and then I hear something. Someone moving around. Very human footsteps coming down from the 3rd floor. I pull at the door again, but it still won't budge, so I press my eye into the gap. In the gloom, I catch sight of Mark as he whispers urgently to someone out of sight. And then there are more careful footsteps as they head down to the ground floor. I stand back, confused, and then the door silently opens, just wide enough for me to get out. I step out cautiously, feeling like I've walked into a secret. I peer over the banister. She's totally out. What about him? Snoring, a giggle, and a she. My breath catches. Is that Kat? What is she doing downstairs? With Mark. I shiver in the chilly air. Maybe Freddy is right. Maybe there is a draft end, as they disappear along the boot room corridor. I give it a few seconds, and then creep downstairs myself. Rounding from the wooden floor onto the flagstones of the narrow corridor to the right of the front door. The stones are like ice blocks underfoot, making my feet hurt, but I keep going. My racing heart warming me from the inside, even as my extremities freeze. I grip my phone tight as I get nearer to the boot room door. It's closed, but maybe if I press my ear against it, I'll be able to hear them. Figure out what they're doing. Deep inside, I know why they're up. There's only one reason to. Married adults would be creeping around together in the middle of the night, but I just can't bring myself to believe it without evidence. Kat and Mark. Kat of Kat and Russell, and marriage is teamwork. And I can't grasp the idea of Mark cheating on perfect ISO, who is toned and slim and doesn't have the teeniest bit of cellulite, and still acts like she's 21. Everyone's in love with ISO. I edge toward the door, remembering how much ISO drank tonight. Maybe there is trouble in paradise. ISO has always loved booze more than the rest of us, but there was definitely an edge to how she was at the party. But Kat, how could Kat do that to her? How could they do this to any of us? My heart is pounding so hard when I reach the closed door that I'm not sure I'd be able to hear anything through it, even if they were shouting at each other on the other side. But as I go to press my ear against the cold grain, the wood moves, ever so slightly, opening. I step back, my hand over my mouth. Sure, I've been caught, but the door stops at only 2 inches wide. It's a creaky old door, with a stiff metal latch. It should have been louder when it opened, but there was nothing. A smooth silence, as if it had just been soaked in oil. A breathless moan escapes from inside. I can't help myself. I take a step forward. I have to see. I put my eye to the gap, and it immediately widens. They're bathed in moon, perched on the shelf against the wall, her legs wrapped around Mark, who looks almost comical, with his boxers down around his ankles, as he frantically pumps himself into her. It's grotesque and revolting to see my friends, good-looking as they may be, like this, but without thinking. As an icy draft snakes up my legs, I lift my phone and start to record. Neither of them even glances toward the door, as Mark groans, lowering his head to Kat's exposed breasts. As his hands and mouth grasp at her breasts, she gasps and pulls her legs tighter around him. "Fuck me harder," she mutters, her eyes closed, and then wraps her hands around his neck. "Fuck me till it hurts me." He stops then, pulling out, his dick hard and almost purple, even in the darkness, and spins her around, bending her over the shelf. Hand on her neck as he thrusts back into her. The cheeks of her arse moonlight pale as he grips them. "God, you're such a dirty bitch," he mutters, gripping her by her hair. And they encourage each other with breathless words and commands and insults. I can hear his flesh slapping against hers, and yet, despite how uncomfortable it's making me feel, I keep on recording. I have to, I tell myself. Isso would never believe this is real without evidence. Maybe of Mark, but never of Kat. Neither would Russell. Neither would Freddie. And neither would I if I weren't seeing it with my own eyes. I feel sick. How long has it been going on? I record them, lost in each other, for a few more seconds, and then quietly step away and creep back upstairs to my own bed, climbing in beside my own disappointing husband. I lie there, wide awake and in shock, and maybe 15 minutes later, I hear 2 pairs of guilty feet, carefully returning to their own rooms and their own unsuspecting partners.